Hello, welcome back to Baking with Jen. I'm Jen, and welcome to our Thursday stream. Yeah, welcome to our Thursday live stream. Sorry about our late start. Had a couple of technical difficulties and some things go wrong, but we're here now. And so I'm so happy to be able to be here and hang out with you guys. So, for today, we're going to try our hand at corn tortillas. Now, at the end of February, we tried making flour tortillas and empanadas, and the flour tortillas went okay. I think that I need to make them with a different fat than I did, but overall, the flour tortillas turned out pretty good, actually. So I'm gonna try making those again at some point, just not today. Then the empanadas, those turned out not my favorite, but they turned out. They did a thing. So I was gonna try to make corn tortillas at that time, and I wasn't able to. So we'll do a makeup stream today. So I definitely think for the month of April, like we're in now, I want to try making some of the things that I had scheduled and didn't quite get to, or that I had made and didn't turn out quite right. I was going to try and make pretzels today. We'll make those on Tuesday. I tested my yeast and it took about 30 minutes for my yeast to start bubbling and it wasn't bubbling very good. So I think that my yeast has gone off, and so we'll have to look into that. But we will get more yeast at the store later. Right now, for today, we will look at corn tortillas. So I didn't get a chance to put the link to this recipe in the description. So let's go ahead and take a look at the recipe real quick. That's not what we're looking at. Let's see. Where do I share? Here we go. Corn tortillas. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can make me a little bit bigger on here. Here, nope. Here, and not quite. So we'll go to here. All right. And then we'll switch to the other view here in just a minute. But for now, this is what we'll do. So, I don't have a tortilla press. I don't have much of the hardware to be able to make this. We have something like a comal. A comal is just like a pan for cooking tortillas. This is what we're going to be baking on today. Let's make this a little bit bigger so that you can see the pan a little bit better. So we'll do this for now. Where's this better? Oh, we'll do this for now. So this is the pan that we usually use to like heat up tortillas and stuff. It's a fairly thin pan. Like I said, this is our version of a comal for our house, but this is what we have. So, yes, hola, tortillas today. Let's see. So let's get to the recipe. So looking at the recipe breakdown. Looking at this recipe, see if we can actually get down to the recipe. I've been scrolling forever trying to get down to this recipe. I looked at this recipe before, and I think I had this recipe tagged in um the live stream I was going to make tortillas before, but I didn't get to making the corn tortillas. I made flour tortillas and empanadas. I didn't get around to making corn tortillas. That's why we're making them today. And scrolling past 6 million ads in order to get to the actual recipe. All right, homemade corn tortillas. This should be fairly easy, but the difficult in making this recipe isn't with the mixing. Well, technically it is with the mixing, because once you get the consistency down, that's the part that you're looking for. But it's basic 3 ingredients. So you look here, we have 2 cups masa, which it's not the same as corn flour or cornstarch. It is a corn flour, but corn flour is usually like another word for cornstarch, so you don't want that. This is, it's also not cornmeal or that kind of thing. Can you see it? No, it's too bright. We'll look at it in the other camera here in a little bit. But it's literally flour made out of corn. Instead of like in America, we have a corn flour, but it's thicker. It's more for like cornbread. This is not that. So you do want masa, which again is a corn flour. It's just like a fine corn flour. So there's a couple of brands. This recipe, if you go to this site, it actually has a lot, well, not a lot. It has 3 or 4 different brands of masa that you can use that would be good for making tortillas. I have misplaced, I have a big jar of it, and this was my backup jar. This has just over a cup in it, and this recipe calls for 2 cups. So we're gonna half this recipe today to see basically what we can do with it. So, half recipe, this is the recipe. The ingredients are basically masa, salt, and this is warm water.
Lexus
I've also
take
seen
on
other
luxury.
ones say
Take
hot
it
water.
wherever you go.
So
Live up
it's
to
kind
it.
of
The all-new GX.
I would say at your discretion. I have a kettle, like an electric kettle, that I put my filtered water in to make my coffee in the morning because I have gotten into the habit of having pour over coffee. So pouring it from the kettle is a lot easier than doing a bunch of other stuff. But anywho, so we're going to be working on the corn tortillas today. Let's get started. So we're going to stop sharing that. Add this to the stage. All right, here we go. Now, because, we don't need to see me during this. Here we go. So because I only have like a cup of the masa, I'm just going to pour most of this in. I'm not going to measure it out right now. But let's take a look at this texture real quick. See, this is a fairly fine texture. It is a little bit gritty, but it's just a little bit coarser than flour. You don't want any kind of big chunks or anything like that. This is a flour made out of corn, like baking flour, not like perfume flour. Or I guess reproductive flour, because that's what you get out of like plants. So I'm leaving just a little bit behind just in case we end up adding too much water because I don't have any more. So about a cup of flour, and this says for the whole recipe, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of salt, so even less. So this is seriously just going to be pinch. This said half a teaspoon of salt. So we don't even need half a teaspoon. We need a quarter teaspoon of salt. All right, and then it's for the whole recipe. It's 1.5 cups of warm water. I'm going to go measure out 3. Nope, we need 3/4 cups. Actually, here, let's switch this out and go get my kettle. Like I said, while I was setting everything up, I boiled this water so that it's hot water. You probably don't need it to be this hot, but I like to live dangerously. Okay. So I think this is one of those things that you should technically mix with your hands, but that's not what I'm going to do. So, like I said, this is just the corn flour, the masa, and a little bit of salt. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add about half the water. So we're looking for something. If you've ever made biscuits, when you make biscuits, you want it to be very crumbly, but still like hold together when you like squeeze it. So that's kind of the texture, according to the recipe, that we're looking for. Um, and the hardest part about, well, not the hardest, but the hardest part that they say about making this recipe is getting the texture of the dough correct. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start heating up the pan. I put it over some medium heat just because it's going to take a little while to get up to where I want it to be. So I think I've mixed in that water fairly well. I'm going to get some of the sticky stuff off of the spoon. Like I said, I think this might be one of those things that's technically better to mix with your hands, but I hate getting my hands goopy, and unless I have to, but if it's going to turn out dry, then I want my hands more dry than goopy. Anyways, so this is getting lightly crumbly, but like I squeeze it and it's kind of sticking together. We want it a little bit more than that. So, and this is part of the reason why we saved the extra masa for later, and then we're adding our water a little bit at a time because we don't want this to get too gummy, I don't know, the wrong texture. Because if you can get the right texture, then they're supposed to roll out, or you technically don't roll them. We're going to roll them just because I don't have a tortilla press and I don't feel like improvising with like plates or something like that. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to take like a plastic bag and cut it in half and then use a rolling pin to try to roll it out. Maybe I'll get like a plate and like smash it down and then roll it out from there. Let's see. See, I'm open to trying new things. So this still looks fairly crumbly. Now it looks like super crumbly, like it's very small pieces. But if I squeeze it, it does kind of hold together, but it still like breaks apart fairly easily. And I think we want it to be sticking together a little bit more than this. Like I said, I've never made these before. My mom's tried to make them before, and I know that was quite an endeavor. So we're just slowly but surely working on it. So I do think it needs a little bit more water. We might end up using all of this water. I don't know. So far, we've used half a cup. So I'm just trying to slowly add the water to get the correct texture. It's looking better. I know we don't want it dry and crumbly because we want it to be able to press and like press out into a tortilla. But that's not. So we're not there yet. We're working on it. See, this has much bigger pieces and it's looking much, much better. So do the kind of press it through everything and then kind of toss it around. All right, let's see. This definitely feels damp. Like everything feels damp. And then I squeeze it and it comes together and it still feels damp. We might be there. This also might be a little dry, so we might need to add a little bit more water. Look, it's holding together nicely. When I push on it, it doesn't immediately crumble. So we're getting there. I can't roll it into a ball. I just tried to roll it and it just like crumbled on me. Okay, so not quite, but we're close. That makes me happy. All right. We're doing it. If we're doing it right, I don't know, but we're doing it. All right, so we have a little bit more water to add. Like I said, there's still a quarter cup in here. We'll just add the rest of the water. Okay, so we added the 3/4 cups of water. That's all the 3/4 cups of water. If you still don't want this to be like a goopy dough, we're not making pancakes. We're not making like a batter. This isn't even like a cinnamon roll dough. This is supposed to be like a biscuit dough before you add the milk or water or whatever you're adding. Who makes biscuits with water? I don't know. If you make biscuits with water, then you're either really, really poor or you're just weird. That's what the options I'm going to go with for today. And while I am weird, we're not making this with. We're not making biscuits with water. There we go. We are making this with water. We're not making biscuits. See, this is super crumbly. This looks a lot like the picture. Let's see. Let me go show you the picture real quick. So this looks like the picture. Let's go back and look at the picture. Go to stage. See where the recipe. Now we just gotta scroll up and find the picture. Tortilla, tortilla, tortilla. Cooking the tortilla. Scrolling up, scrolling up. Okay. Incrementally, a couple of teaspoons at a time, stirring regularly. The idea is to keep the water and flour bits meld into a dough. At that point, you can pick it up with your hands and knead it together. So it eventually looks like this. So it starts looking like this, which is kind of what mine looks like. Now let's see if I can make my bowl. Let's make my bowl bigger, and we'll have a side-by-side comparison. See, my bowl, that looks a lot like that one. See, this looks a lot like that. There we go. This looks like that. It says you can knead it. Will this come together into a big ball? Hello. Press. Stop the presses. Is this coming together correctly? Well, it's holding shape. That's awesome. Did I get it right? Oh my goodness. I don't know if it's because I left follow directions because I'm like, I know baking. I can do these things without following directions. Or if it's because like with the blondies, I have to put the blondies back in the oven because they were too raw in the center. Now I usually like a kind of raw baked good in general, but those are just too raw. They need to cook some more. What I'm going to do with those is I'm going to put some aluminum foil over it and then bake it again for another 15-20 minutes, basically until the bottoms are no longer raw, the middle is no longer raw, wherever it's raw. Okay, olive masa, and see it came all together, and I think this is actually the right consistency. Now, this recipe says to get these into 4-inch balls. Do I exactly know what a 4-inch ball looks like? No. So we're just gonna roll it into a ball. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. I don't think that's 4 inches because I think like that's 4 inches, and so that would be what, like a 3-inch ball, 2.5 inch. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, we're gonna put these in here, and I think that this is probably what a 4-inch ball should look like. But yeah, let's see. I think that's about 4 inches. So maybe a little bit I'm going to take a little bit off of here because I want these to be fairly even. And because I only have like a little bit of masa, technically I
Alexis,
should
take on
probably like
luxury.
add that to
Take it
here and add
wherever
some
you go.
water and see if I can get it
All
to
new
come together.
GX.
Oh, but I don't want to do that. So we're going to just roll these into little balls. And like I said, this is kind of a trial. We're going to see how these go because tortillas are notoriously tough to make unless you're like a tortilla maker and you do these all the time and you're getting really accustomed to how to do it. I am not that. But the thing that does surprise me is the ingredient list because I would think that this would have some kind of fat in it, like lard. But it doesn't. It's just masa, water, and salt. So, ooh, this one's a little small. Okay, I think this is going to be a little bit bigger than I want. Oh man. Okay. Well, so apparently we're making 5 tortillas today. That's all right. Like, we're 20 minutes in, and all I've done so far is make tortilla balls. So, reading the recipe, it does look like you're supposed to eat the tortillas right away. If you don't eat them right away, then you should not cook them as tortillas. It says that you can store the balls in the fridge like overnight, but not to freeze them because they'll get too crumbly and a couple other things like that. All right, I need a minute. I'm going to wash my hands off and then we're going to get a plastic bag and work on rolling these out. I did grab a little bit of cold water because I didn't read this part of the recipe to see if it needed water, but I know that it has done stuff before. When I've looked at recipes like this before, I have seen something about using a spray bottle to spritz down the inside of this so that the tortillas don't stick. Excuse me. I said I don't exactly have that right now, so we're just going to do our best with what we have. All right, so I'm just slitting this plastic bag along the sides, and then we'll try this with water and without. So we'll start it without water because it's easier to get things damp than it is to dry them off. I'm going to start with this small ball just because, honestly, just because. So, got the ball in here. I'm going to a little squish. And we just have a plate, so I'm going to just push and see what that gives us. Haha, the counter crack a little. Oop. So it's still really thick for a tortilla. Like, I don't know, can you see how thick that is? And you're like, that's not thick, but for a tortilla, that's fairly thick. Now, maybe home tortillas are supposed to be thicker than like store-bought tortillas or restaurant tortillas. I don't know. But I'm going to lay this flat and just see if I can roll it out a little bit. Just kind of roll in a couple of different directions. I'm trying to keep the circle shape, just get it a little bit thinner. Yeah. So I know when you use this kind of technique with like making your meat thin or something like that, that you should put water on the plastic. So I'm actually really surprised at how well this is doing without putting water or anything else like that on it. So this is actually rolling out pretty nice. This is really, really thin though. I can tell how thin this is. Not too bad. Like I can feel that is fairly thin. Like, can you all see how thin that is? All right, so let's take this over to our pan. I can feel heat coming off of the pan. See, it's kind of the same. This picture is kind of the same as that. I don't know. All right, well, the recipe says that you don't need to, but what they like to do is to put the tortilla on the pan for about 10 seconds and then flip it and cook it for about a minute on each side. So let's go ahead and try cooking the tortilla straight off. That's also something that I think that my mom had found out at some point, is that when you're cooking tortillas like this, that you kind of need to put them directly from here, that they don't hold up together very well without the structure of like the plastic bag. So we're just gonna drop this on here and count to 10. Oh, come on, come off of there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see if we can get this under here and flip it real quick. So by cooking it for 10 seconds, it's supposed to kind of lock in some of the steam and help it cook through a little bit better. But then it says to cook it for 1 minute on each side or until they start getting like lightly brown. I left up the picture of what they're supposed to look like so that hopefully they'll look the way that they're supposed to when we're all done here. But we have a reference to look at. But I don't know. I tried to make sure that the pan was hot first. Still have a few seconds to wait before I turn this over. I'm just staring at the microwave clock I have right in front of me just to make sure that it's 1 minute. You know what? I could probably use the timer on the live stream. Ooh, just stare at that. All right. I don't know if it's been quite a minute, but it's close. So we're going to go ahead and flip it. Now maybe I have the heat too low. Oh, look, it's puffing up. It's puffing up. It's supposed to do that, I think. Well, it's looking nice. And the recipe does say that you can like smash it if you want to. But I don't know if we necessarily need all of that yet. Oh, I think I am going to turn it back over onto this side and see if we can get a little bit of color on it. Because like if you look at the picture I have up there, it looks like it's supposed to have color. Looks like it's supposed to have color. I don't know if it's supposed to or not though. All right, and I didn't show you guys this ahead of time, but while we're giving this a few seconds, you know, let's go ahead and flip it over for a second. Oh, look, a little bit of color there. I like it. So we're going to smash this down a little bit and make sure we can get that touching. But I just have a plate with a towel, like folded in half. And so we're just going to take our little tortilla here that only has color on one side, poor little tortilla. And we're going to put it into our towel, cover it up, and then these should stay warm with the towel. All right, so especially since we're only going to be making 5 tortillas right now, I think we're just going to do them one at a time just to kind of make sure that we knock the camera over. Yeah, just make sure that everything's going smooth. So tortilla ball, plastic. Oh, I got this too close to the heat. Uh-oh. Yeah, plastic scrunches when it gets hot. Let's see. Oh, so I'm just smashing it a little bit with my hand so that it's flat. Then I'm taking a plate, pushing on it about as hard as I can to get it to go as flat as it can right here. And then it's so pretty. It's nice and round. Then we're gonna get our rolling pin, roll back and forth a little bit. But now it's starting to get oblong, so eighth of a turn, maybe a quarter. No, not a full quarter turn. We're going to the eight corners of the world. But we also want to avoid this wrinkly spot. Uh-oh, I might need a new one. Or I might just need to cut that spot off and figure out my life from there, because I don't want to use that spot. So I'm going to peel this back a little bit. See if I can reposition it so it's not so. Especially since I want it to go this way a little bit more. Let's see what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to start on the side and just roll everything this way. Just trying to get it to kind of roll out this way a little bit more. It's trying to make it a little bit more round. Oh, we're getting wrinkles. Wrinkly tortillas. Wrinkly tortillas. All right. This is feeling fairly thin. I'm liking how thin it is. This time, instead of putting the plastic over the heat, I'm going to see if I can just put it in my hand. Like I said, I'm so afraid that because this is thin, that it'll just fall apart on my hand. See, it's falling apart. Oh, no. But like I said, this is fairly thin as well. So, come on. Come on, you can do it. You can let go. Okay. It's not wanting to let go that direction. Let's see if we can get it to let go this direction. It's better. A couple of sticking spots, but let's see if we can get it to peel from the sticking spots. It seems like if I can get it to start peeling, then it won't catch as much. Look, we got it all the way off. Well, except for that little piece. Shh, we're going to pretend that piece doesn't exist. Ça n'existe pas. Ooh, how do you say it doesn't exist in Spanish? I don't know how to say it doesn't exist in French. But we're doing Spanish here. All right, so 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like I said, we're just kind of putting this. This is skidding along on here. You can tell this is hot. I don't know if this is. I don't know. I have this on medium heat, so. Oh no! About 10 seconds. Oh, my thumb put a hole in it. Push it back together. Okay. So for about a minute. Yep, we're just gonna hang out for a minute. And right now I'm just trying to get the extra tortilla off of the plastic. The extra masa dough off of the plastic. I think I'm gonna add this to the next one just to keep from wasting. But we'll see if it will incorporate appropriately. Appropriate incorporation. This is looking pretty good. This isn't as skittly on this side, and I don't know if it's just because it's cooking a little bit better, or I don't know. I don't know what's going on. All right. So we've reached 1 minute on this side, and we flip over, and we're getting a little bit of color here on the edge, but not much. And now it's puffing up nicely, so that's cool. So maybe a little bit longer than a minute on the first side, and then we'll see about 10 seconds, flip, maybe like a minute and 20 seconds, flip, and then a minute. So we have options. The world is doing stuff. The world will never know. But yeah, I accidentally put a little hole in it with my thumb. Shh, it's okay. It'll be all right. So corn tortillas are supposed to be fairly easy to make, and so far I'm not disappointed. It's not like these are super duper hard. It's just they're a little finicky. Because the hard part is supposed to be getting the dough right, and then if you get the dough right, it's supposed to roll out okay. But I don't know. Seems to be working so far. Just kind of pressing a little bit. I'm trying to get a little bit of color on that other side. But like this looks like the amount of colors in the picture. We got this, right? Got this. Nope. All right. Let me put this away. Attempt number 2 was, it appears successful. I'll have to try these here in a minute. See what we can do. Okay. Since I still have the scissors over here and I'm a little, like what I did over here. So I'm going to just cut this part off. And hopefully we can do without this part. So it gives us a little bit less area to work with. It's a little bit less area to work with, but I think it'll be okay. So I'm just going to push it up a little bit higher. And then I'm going to fold it, squish, 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 fairly round. Take the plate, smush, smush, smush. We're smushing. All right, and I'm gonna turn the pan up just a tad because it was like 4.5, and so I'm turning it up to 5. And hopefully it'll color the first side a little bit. So these are still fairly thick, like not very, very thick, but it's still fairly thick. So again, I'm going to take my rolling pin. I am going to readjust this plastic just to try to give myself a little bit more space this way, because that seems fairly centered there. So back and forth here a little bit. Quarter return, back and forth a little bit. Quarter return, or eighth of a turn, back and forth a little bit. Now, as each turn goes, I am pressing a little bit harder, but not like super duper hard at all. I don't want it to get all wonky. It is getting all wonky, but I want it to be like semi-easily fixable. Which at the moment it is, as long as I don't like overpress it in any direction. But these are looking pretty nice. I'm liking this. And it looks like we don't actually need the water. I don't know what I was thinking with the water, but so far we don't really need it. These, awesome. This is at least a bigger flour tortilla than like I get at the store. Now maybe if I like cut the edges for it to be perfect, it might look like the ones in the store, but I don't need that. Okay, so we decided from last time that peeling it off of the plastic before we put it on the pan was the way to go. I definitely don't want it to stick to here. So that's one of the things is it gets in the little like crevices and it wants to stick to the thing. But so far, these are looking beautiful. I'm loving the way that these are coming out. Now, if they taste okay, I don't know. But it's looking okay so far. So tortilla in the hand is better than 2 in a bush. That's definitely true. I don't know why you would put tortillas in a bush, unless you have a tortilla bush. If you have a tortilla bush, that would be amazing. I don't think tortilla bush exists. Get him a ring, good do. Let's get him a ring, good do. Okay, see, it's all like skitty. All right, so let's 10 seconds. Flip that over. This looks much better, actually. So, like I said, we're gonna try giving this like a minute 20, and then flip it, and then see if that does better. I already like this tortilla better than the other two that I made, and I'm not sure what it is about this one that I'm liking more. But it looks like it has an even texture, like the edges aren't as crinkly. This looks like a decent tortilla. Yay, decent tortillas. Okay, it was 40-20 when I looked at it, so we're looking 40-40. So we're coming up on a minute. We're about half a minute in right now. Yeah, we're coming up on third. Nope. 50 seconds. I'm like, what are we coming up on? All right. So, and now we're at a minute. We'll give this 20 more seconds we're trying to get color on the first, well, technically it's the second side, but it's the first side. And then we'll get some color on the other side. Now, like feeling this, it's not actually touching the pan here in the middle. I think there's like a steam bubble under that. So let's see. Now let's flip it over. It looks like we're getting some color on the edges. So we have a little bit of color on the edges, and then it's puffing up. So that's like what tortillas are supposed to do, apparently. You have a tortilla balloon. Press. Get some of the steam out of here. Oh, I hear the steam coming out. Raspberry puree. I have that song stuck in my head because I was talking about making yogurt with raspberry puree last night. And so ever since then, I've been singing raspberry puree, which that's funny. Okay. Give it a couple more seconds, and that should be good for side 2. So I'm going to just flip it. We get to look at it, and then we're probably going to go directly into, yep, look at that. Look at the little brownness. It looks so pretty. So yeah, no, that looks good, except for I'm not sure if it's just not touching because there's like a steam pocket or what's going on with that, but we will see for this next one. All right, so we just have 2 more, and I'm trying to give myself some space so that I can smush it, but also have room for things to expand. Plate, smush, smush, smush. I don't really like this smushing pressing technique, even though I know that's what they do with the pan, like the tortilla press. This is like how the tortilla press works. I don't like it. My mom has a tortilla press, or had a tortilla press, and we never got thin tortillas with it. They were always too thick. But so this gets it round, and it gets it fairly thin. I'm not sure if it would get thinner on a tortilla press. I don't have one. I don't have access to one right now. So we're just going to use pressing and rolling pins. Like I said, start off with just like a light pressure, and I kind of gradually get more and more pressure on here as I'm kind of rolling it out more and more. But we're getting there. I don't like how this edge goes. So we're going to go over the edge. Run over the edge. But it's rolling out nicely. We need a perfect circle. No, we don't need it perfect. But having it more circular is preferable. Okay. So right now I'm just kind of finding where it kind of went off from the circle. I'm trying to press it out, but like even out the circles. Wow, ooh, this is getting super thin on the edges, so I'm gonna take this and just kind of see if I can get it to squish all towards one side. Oh, look, there's a nice little pile there. So let's loosen this up and reposition it so I can get this little spot flat. This is not something you want to roll without plastic or something as a, not a guide, but a barrier. There we go. So I do want to see if I can get this little middle part to kind of stick out a little bit more. I didn't want this part, but I did anyway. What do you think? I think this looks good. Oh, yeah, the tortilla press made them pretty thick. The ones that you're making look great. Oh, perfect. Yeah, tortilla presses make them kind of thick, so I think you kind of have to roll them out a little bit extra anyway. But there we go. We have a nice looking tortilla, and we found out from the first one that we want to peel it off of the plastic before we put the plastic near the pan, or the pan melts the plastic. And we also don't want it hooking on the sides, which it's not so far. Oh, okay, a little piece stuck. We got it off. Just a couple little pieces. Just two little pieces right here. Not bad. I don't know if you all can see it, but I can see it. Okay, so onto the pan. Oh no! No! Fine, I'm gonna take this piece and add it to the last little ball. All right. Oop, this one's sticking a little bit more, but we still have our skidamarinka-dinka-dink. Okay, give that a few seconds to kind of seal that side. Then get up under here all nice and flip. Oh, this has a little bit of the white color in the middle. I don't know if it's supposed to do that. I'm going to try pressing on this center part during this first minute and see if that helps it get colored, because what I think is happening is that this middle part isn't touching because there's like steam that's coming out from the bottom that's keeping the middle from touching. So I think that's why it's not getting color. So I don't know why I'm moving it around. I don't think that's necessary. I don't hold still very well. That's probably why I'm moving it. All right, so right now we're making the tortillas. We were gonna do, well, I wanted to do pretzels because I have a lot of ideas to do with pretzels. Like I found blueberry powder, and all right, we're at the flipping stage, and then so I'm just, oh, look, we got a little bit of color, a little bit of color. Maybe it needs to be a little bit longer. But anyway, I found blueberry powder. I found all kinds of really colorful powders, but a lot of them have flavors too. So I'm like, well, if I made like a lemon pretzel with like lemon or like yellow and orange color, like twisted and then twisted into a pretzel, so it's kind of tie-dye. And then if from there I took that pretzel and I dipped it in some kind of like slightly sweetened butter glaze or something like that, that maybe had like a edible glitter in it to make it all nice and shiny and pretty. I'm like, that sounds like it would be amazing. I don't know if it would be amazing, but it sounds amazing in my head. So now I want to try it. But I don't even know if I can make a pretzel right. So I was kind of like, okay, let's see if we can make a pretzel. And if we can make a pretzel, then maybe we can make like flavored pretzels. And that could be awesome. I don't know. So we're going to have to try it out. See if we can make a pretzel and then see if we can make flavored pretzels and see how it goes. All right. this is our last matzo ball. And believe me, that's very, very different than a matzah ball. Matzah, I don't know what a matzah ball is. I know it's Jewish. So, if you didn't know it was Jewish, I got one up on you. If you knew it was Jewish, then we're in the same boat. This is Hispanic, not, ooh, Hispanic Jews. Can you be Hispanic and Jewish? I don't think so. I think technically you could be Hispanic and Jewish because Jewish is a religion, not necessarily, like it is an ethnicity and a religion, but I think that Hispanic Jew wouldn't necessarily be a common combination. Interesting. Now it will be a goal to find a Hispanic Jew and ask them questions about matzo balls. Why? I have no idea. It just sounds interesting. Because like a bean and cheese burrito. Could you eat a bean and cheese burrito as a Jewish person? Because you can't mix meat and cheese. You can't mix meat and dairy. Being kosher. Can't mix meat and dairy. Can you mix beans and dairy? So maybe you could eat like a bean and cheese burrito, but you can't eat like a beef and cheese burrito. I don't know. I don't think you could be on keto and be Jewish because a lot of the things for keto use like eggs and cheese as binders, and so yeah. Not that you couldn't do it, because there are people who are on keto and who are vegan and they eat like avocados and beans with butter, or not butter, maybe. Yeah, beans with butter or something like that. Butter's not vegan, so maybe not butter, but maybe like beans and coconut oil. That could be a thing. I know that I watched a thing where these guys went down to like a really, really impoverished place and tried to see if they could live there, like the way the locals live. And some of the things that they found is that lard is very, very important in their diets because it's the main form of calories. Like, yes, you put it in the beans and the tortillas and all of that kind of stuff. So you have all of the other nutrients along with it. But in general, if you don't get lard, then you're probably starving to death because things like the beans and the beans and rice, they don't have enough calories to help sustain you. If that's all you're eating, and you're not eating a ton of it anyway, if you don't have money for a ton of them. So that was an interesting video. I should share that sometime because that's something I find interesting. Okay. I think it's funny. I have to put this in my left hand and peel it off with my right. I don't think I could do it the other way around. I am fairly ambidextrous, but I think this is one of those places where my ambidextrousness. I don't know words. But anyway, I think that would fail if I were to try peeling it off the other way. Okay, last tortilla for the day. That I'm actually put down nicely. If I would just not touch the pan. Okay, just a warning. If you touch a hot pan, it might burn you. Just letting you know. I know that's really weird to try to say that, but yeah. Okay, they've been down for 10 seconds. Now that the last tortilla I made, I didn't do it for the minute 20. I only did it for a minute. So let's try minute 20. So I do think that putting the pressure on the middle of the tortilla while it cooks for at least this first part is a good idea. because I really think that the steam is getting between the tortilla and the pan and not letting it brown up nicely. But maybe this tortilla will be extra crunchy and it won't be the way I want it. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out. All right, we got about 20 seconds until we reach our minute. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop pressing on it and let it kind of hang out. See, we're just going to see what this wants to do because like I can kind of see. And then that's all steam on here because there's no fat in this. There's no fat in this whatsoever. It's water, corn flour, and salt. No fat. No fat on the pan, no fat in the mixture. Oops. Let's see. Now we're a little bit extra. Okay. So it has a little bit of color on this side. So we're going to give this a minute. And they're puffing up. So it says they're supposed to puff up, and they're puffing up. So something's going right. And I'm really, really proud of myself for rolling them out fairly thin. Because, yeah, most of the time when you make tortillas with tortilla press, they turn out fairly thick. I don't know how these people do it, but this is how it's working out for me. Okay. Since this only has like 20 more seconds, I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off. We're going to let this finish cooking here for another couple of seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let's flip it over and see what it's doing. Oh, look, it looks very tortilla-y. Tortilla-y, is tortilla-y a word? Thanks, Grandma. So, the fresh homemade tortillas in an hour. We made 5. So that's good, right? 5 tortillas an hour. Now, granted, most of that was mixing the dough. So I don't think it would take an hour to make like 10 tortillas. I think it only took an hour to make 5 tortillas because the mixing part. I think making like more, like a whole batch would take a little bit longer because of the rolling and cooking time. And if I was rolling them out while the others were cooking, that would probably work out a lot better. But tortilla is perfectly a word, right? Everybody knows tortilla is a word. All right. That's the dish. Nope. What do we want? Nope. Sure, we'll do that. No, I don't want to do that. I just have my beautiful face. Hello. All right. So since this is all we're doing today is the tortillas. Like I said, I wanted to do pretzels today, but my yeast isn't very active. It took 30 minutes for like a teaspoon of yeast to get a little bit bubbly. So I'm thinking that that's not the way it's supposed to be. Anyways, so I'm going to tear off a little piece of tortilla. This is the last tortilla that we made. So let's try it. Fairly light. It's really bland. I think it needs more salt, but it's tortilla. It can make like a fun little pocket in the middle. It's really thin. Like this got even thinner, like cutting it in half. Let's see, can I turn this down a little bit more? There we go. Turn the light down a little bit more and you can see a little bit better. And like this was the tortilla. Pretty thin. It looks about the same thickness as you would for like a store-bought tortilla. And then when it popped up, it kind of opens up a little bit and it gets even thinner. So you could probably cut these up and make chips or like tacos. This was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I'm really glad that I tried these because I thought that these were gonna be a lot harder. Like I said, the one and only time that I've tried making tortillas before this, it wasn't really me making tortillas, it was my mom making tortillas, and I was helping, and it was a goopy mess, and we tried to roll them out, and they stuck to everything, and it was a disaster might be a little bit of a strong word, because I don't think it was a total disaster, but pretty close to a disaster. Like, next to a disaster. What is it called when you're, like, standing right next to a disaster? Hmm, I don't know. But that's where we were, and so I'm really surprised by how quick and easy these were. So, that's awesome. So, if you haven't seen it already, you can check on the YouTube. I think it might be on Facebook too, that you can see where I've already set up the pretzel live stream because I was going to do that today, but had to back up and punch. And tortillas are great. Everybody loves tortillas. So if you want to see pretzels, come hang out on Tuesday and we'll see if we can make pretzels. I'll buy some more yeast between now and then. And if you want to continue seeing the live streams that I'm doing, then come check it out. Check me out, check it out, check us out. Check all of it out. I am live streaming at the moment. I'm live streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays from starting about 12:30 ish. See, almost disaster-ish, right? That works. But yeah, no, I live stream every Tuesday and Thursday starting around 12:30. Today I think it was closer to 12:40, but give me 5-10 minutes, and if I'm not here, I'll show up soon. But thanks for hanging out with me today. Like and subscribe and do all of those kind of fun things. I appreciate you all sitting here and chatting with me and making comments and all that kind of fun stuff. And I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.